Hello again, and welcome to our fourth session entitled Sharing Your Perspective. I'm kind of excited to dive into this topic because if I'm to be honest and transparent, I'd have to say that this, of all the skills, has been my biggest personal challenge. In this conversation, we're going to learn the keys to creating safety in a challenging conversation, learn to differentiate facts, interpretation, and interests, identify strategies for sharing your perspective in a way that makes it easy for others to listen, and finally, know when to loop back to listening in order to continue to balance advocacy and inquiry. In the first section, we'll address a critical question. How can I share my perspective in such a way that it does not compromise the safety of our conversation? As I stated in the introductory material, safety has been identified in the best-selling book Crucial Conversations as one of the most important considerations when preparing for a challenging conversation. Our focus on this issue starts with looking at our intention as to how we will orient ourselves to the conversation. If my intention is to win what I determine to be an argument, then I will apply certain tactics. However, if my commitment is to mutual purpose, then I will engage differently. It's beneficial to start the conversation by restating your commitments substantively, procedurally, and relationally. For example, I'll want to communicate a commitment to mutual purpose and mutual benefit. I want to communicate a commitment to a fair process for engaging the issues. And finally, I want to share a commitment to talking to each other respectfully and acknowledging the importance of an ongoing relationship. In the second section, you'll be introduced to two critical paradigms that will explain some of the challenges faced when engaged in collaboration. Please take time to fully explore and understand these two modules. The ladder of inference, for example, is incredibly descriptive of what can go wrong in a challenging conversation. Our tendency to assume that we know what others are thinking or saying and why they are behaving in certain ways consistently lands us in hot water. Now, I want to make it clear, however, that it's not my objective in raising this issue to get you to stop making assumptions. Actually, I don't believe it's possible. We're constantly making meaning or interpreting situations. Rather, my intent is that you recognize an assumption for what it is, an untested hypothesis or a hunch. As a hunch, we can be curious about it and even explore it jointly. However, when it moves from being a hunch to becoming a fact, there's often little openness to questioning it. The second model introduced by Fisher and Urey is a classic paradigm for framing collaboration. If you've not read their book, Getting to Yes, I would encourage you to consider doing so. The third section builds on these concepts and suggests very specific strategies for offering your perspective. For example, when I entered the conversation with a high degree of certainty regarding a specific point of view, it's as if I almost dare you to take me on. I'm ready for this conversation because I know that I'm right. On the other hand, if I enter the conversation with some ideas or hunches about which I'm not completely certain, then I invite you to explore these with me. Add your perspective and work with me to come to a shared understanding from which we may choose action. This is where we are truly balancing advocacy and inquiry in support of shared learning. In the final section of this module, we acknowledge that this is not a linear process. I must stay focused on my commitment to mutual purpose and be present to what is showing up in the conversation. A colleague once shared the following quote with me. Our goal in the conversation is to shift from judgment and fear to curiosity and compassion. When my orientation to you in our collaborative endeavor is couched in judgment and fear, we can pretty much predict the outcome. If, on the other hand, my engagement is driven by curiosity and compassion and mutual respect, and my actions and speaking are in alignment with this, transformation becomes possible. The concepts in this module are critical, and I invite you to take sufficient time to unpack the potential learning. Enjoy the conversation.